Wow, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. What a busy day we've had. My name is Chris. Welcome to Fire for Effect Live, 23 February 2022. Today is Pink Shirt Day, which is an anti-bullying campaign, anti-bullying awareness thing. I have with me to my left, which you'll see later on, Mr. James P. White, who had a very successful podcast today on deanblundell.com. He had an outstanding bunch of guests who have been successful in their lives to get to where they are today. It was a great show. If you haven't seen it, you can go to deanblundell.com and check it out. And it's on YouTube. It'll probably be on the Locker Room 95.7 Cruise Out on the Locker Rooms page tomorrow or later on, whenever the fuck it's posted. I don't know. It was really good. So we're going to kind of recap that a little bit. And because I had a lack of fucking planned content today, we're doing a Q&A, which sounds like an audible. It sounds like I'm copping out, but I'm not, because the overwhelming response, if you will, to questions and answers, I got a bunch texted in, and I know a bunch of people DM me and saying, hey, I got some questions. I'm like, perfect, come on in, because we don't have anything that hasn't been beat to death in mainstream media for today to bore you or waste your time tonight. So I said, fuck it. We're going to do it this way. Let people ask the questions and we'll answer them as truthfully and honestly as we can. But before we jump into that, quick shout out to my sponsors, and then I'll bring in the Olive Drab Hooligans. And I'm going to do these sponsors abbreviated version. Fire for Effect Live is brought to you by deanblundell.com. Go to deanblundell.com. Canada's largest digital source of news, sports, and podcasts. And currently Canada's largest source of trolls and keyboard warriors and haters. Check it out on deanblundell.com. You'll find my pod there. Many other pods, all worth listening to, so go check it out. Positive Mike's Brewing Company. You like good fucking beer? Drink Positive Mike's beer. There's Danielle. Hang on, Danielle. I'm running my own board here. Be patient. Where the fuck's the button? Positive Mike's Brewing. I can edit that out. Don't worry about it when we do the audio part. The viewers get the full experience. The listeners get the abbreviated cut up one. Also brought to you by, oh shit, the Blue Rocketeers Basement. No. Mr. Hooper Inc. You like good weed? You want to learn about cannabis culture? Check out Mr. Hooper Inc. And finally, my good friends at Lakeside Farmstead, Jeff None and his family. You like Wagyu beef? You live in the Edmonton area. You can get good beef, good dairy products. Boom, there it is. So let's bring in the fucking boys and get this party started, because it's been a hell of a day. That did not work. Oh, that's why. Mr. Bryce Hooper and Mr. Morgan Warren. We have one whole viewer that I can see, boys, so we're doing great.
Hey, Danielle.
Danielle's going to start her own pod.
Nice.
Come on, Danielle. It's where you jump in and say yes. And say, yes, I am going to start my own pod. Damn right. So she's been doing it the right way. She's looking at all these other assholes like me and Bonzi. And by the way, for those of you listening to this later, no, it'll be too late. No, you can jump in later. We're going on live with Bonzi right after this thing, so it should be fucking pretty cool. So yeah, she's going to start her own pod, and I think she should do it. I'm going to help her through it. Excuse me, Kel. I'm still getting used to this vape thing. So, yeah, today was, come in and help me describe what we experienced today. So I don't fuck it up. It was Pink Shirt Day, right? Is that what it's called?
It was called Pink Shirt Day. So what I did is we did a chat just like this, but I brought in a lot of, I had a panel is the best way to put it.
He had Mercedes Nickel, who's a fucking Olympian snowboarder, right?
Yeah.
He had Jesse Lumsden, who's an ex-CFL player, also an Olympic bobsledder.
And Kelly Filardo. She was a burn survivor, and she's written a ton of books. And it was the most, like, I've done a lot of anti-bullying, a lot of lectures and stuff like that, talking about, struggles that we've all been through and stuff like that. And this was the most moving experience I've ever had, listening to other people's stories. And we reached a lot of people today. Is the only thing I can really say, talking about bullying and the ill effects and how to push through. And yeah,
No, it was
it meant a lot today for me and probably everybody on the panel and a lot of the people that watched it.
Jimmy is still coming off the euphoria of the success of the show today and was very successful. A lot of pressure on him today for sure, because he's never done it this way. He's typically would talk to schools. It's an educationary process for young kids from grade 2 to whatever, high school. Also an educationary process for teachers and parents alike. So it's a lot of pressure on them. And then you have a panel like that, and to create that engaging conversation throughout the duration of that conversation was amazing. So he had a really good day. So he's now also, it's a marathon day. So for those of you who don't know what James does during the day, so the first thing, his daily routine is like this. He gets up at about 3 a.m. and he makes soup. We don't know why, but that's what he does.
No, I heat up soup. I don't make it.
Okay.
I make it the night
That's
before.
fair.
Yeah.
He goes down and does the locker room morning show on 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton, and that goes from about 5:45 in the morning till about 9:45, 10 a.m. And then he came here, did that podcast. He had a little nap. We did have a couple beers. He had a nap, and now he's going to do this show. And as soon as this thing's done, we're going on my main man Bonzi Live, tripping with Bonzi right after this to continue the conversation. So I'm glad he's here, and please everybody be kind and welcome James and congratulate him on the success today, and take note about what the importance of today is in regards to bullying. Whether you were bullied, whether you are a bully, or you're a parent or a teacher, there is a lot of lessons learned. And I'm going to talk about my personal experiences and how it translated to the military on Bonzi's show after. So that's fucking, I don't know. You got anything else to say, dude? I think you rock started today.
It was a good day. I was nervous going in, and I couldn't be prouder of the experience today. I think that's all I should say.
All right, have a Coke and a smile. Hang out.
Or a beer.
Or a beer. Have a beer. You've earned a beer today, I think. And we're gonna move on. So thank you. Who do we got on? Just give me a check, and I'm blind. We got Wade. We got Kel. We got Danielle. Yeah, we got all the people that matter.
And they've been chatty too. It's been great.
They are chatty.
And Wade brought firefighters. Oh man, where's TNT? We need some.
They're coming in. A lot of people are watching on different mediums, whatever you want to call it. So to move the chains forward, we don't have any geopolitical shit to discuss tonight. We don't give a fuck about the convoy and its de-escalation and the War Measures Act, the Emergencies Act. We'll save that for next week. Nor are we going to talk about the Ukraine, unless you have questions about it, because of my lack of planning and getting all fucked up. I have a new job now, so I'm busy with that. Today was a busy day with Jimmy and getting all the shit together. I decided to do something else, and what I wanted to do was, we normally do a thing called Ask an Army Guy, and that's with a guest. We didn't have a guest lined up, and I thought, you know what, it's time to open up the floor to the viewers and listeners out there and give them an opportunity to just go carte blanche, ask us whatever questions they want, and tackle it that way. And I was kind of worried, I'm not gonna lie. When I put it out there, I'm like, fuck me, you know, I don't have my shit together. I'm supposed to be running a pod. I haven't prepped. I don't have my slide deck. I don't have my guest. I don't have my topics. I know you guys help me out with that. They do. But it's just been a crazy few days getting shit together. So I said, fuck it. Let's just do it a different way. And it's now we can freestyle and just answer the questions. And there's a few questions that came in early, and I'm going to let everybody on the panel respond to these questions in their own way. I did get a few questions in advance, which I'll read first because it's like advanced ticket sales for a concert. Jump in early, you go first, and then we'll take questions from everybody that's in the comments right now. So I'm gonna pull up my notes here, and we're gonna dive right into what this looks like. So this lovely young lady doesn't want to be named because she's a viewer, but she's gets fucking weirded out by her name showing up all the time. So we're gonna call her Panielle. Okay, so Panielle, her first question is
you're a terrible person.
I'm fucking sorry.
Not
like,
Panielle,
like,
Chris, you're
what
a terrible
the
person.
fuck, man? So Panielle, her real name could be Barb, whatever, right?
Whatever.
So
It's
we'll
probably
throw this out there. We're gonna throw this out there to get the ball rolling. So Panielle's question is, what is the biggest misconception of being in the CAF or being a veteran? The biggest misconception that say, and I'm going to interpret this as, I know, might being, what a civilian might think of us. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Okay, give her, Bryce.
I think some of the first things that most people will ask you as soon as you get back from tour, or first thing a civilian's going to ask you is if you've gone overseas or if you've engaged with the enemy.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of.
I'll give it a shot, Chris.
Yeah, because my brain's spinning up here.
Yeah. So some of the biggest misconceptions about like being a soldier, being a member of the CAF. Now, once again, this is from like the fountain of ignorance, according to like a grunt, an infantryman. I think some of the common misconceptions are like that you think that because a lot of the guys are in the army and we wear that Canadian flag on our shoulder that we believe like 100% that we're 100% on board with everything that the government says and everything that the government does, and that we're a bunch of robots. When we're really not. Like soldiers nowadays, where we have access to like the internet and mainstream media and everything like that. Soldiers nowadays are definitely thinking men or thinking men and women, and are a lot smarter and a lot more educated, I think, than most people actually give us credit for. I mean, I had a young guy that worked for me. He was the same age as me, but he was a private soldier, and I was a warrant officer. And this guy, prior to joining the military, he was like an actual, like he was an astrophysicist. I've had guys that were like that had passed the bar and were lawyers. I know a guy that worked for Imperial Tobacco as a lawyer. I mean, what a scumbag, right? But so you think that sometimes that a lot of guys in the ranks are, I don't want to say the dregs of society, but like, lower education, things like that, when it's not really the case. Most guys are a lot more educated, a lot smarter, I think, than the average Canadian realizes. Can't hear you, Chris.
Yeah, unmute. Got it. Okay, I'll edit that out for audio. That's actually what I was going to say is a misconception on you watch too many war movies where the guy on basic training is this dumb fuck with grade 7 Kentucky education and suddenly he's a NAM. That is not the case. We don't want mindless robots in the military. We want thinkers, yet team players. Thinkers or how you achieve objectives with minimal resources and minimal waste. So yeah, I don't have a different response. Before I jump into Panielle's next question, I'm going to let Positive Mike's got a really good one, and I'm going to bring it up here right now. So what Mike wants to know is, you seem to share your experiences, yet someone like my uncle, which is all akin to Mike, I'll assume your uncle was in World War II, like my grandfather. They never did share their stories. Why is that? I'll lead on this one.
All right.
I think we're more willing to share our stories now because of the lessons learned from guys like your uncle or my grandfather. That, you know, I won't lie, the men that came back from those wars, World War I and II, were fucking harder men than we'll ever be. And the experiences they had, you know, we bitch about a 6-7 month deployment, although we do it successively for years. Those guys went to war for 5 years, kissed their wives, girlfriends, and families goodbye, and didn't fucking come home for 5 years, and went through an insane amount of stress and pressure. And I remember, you know, trying to have conversations with my grandfather about it, and my dad says he never talked about it. So Mike, I resonate, I empathize with what you're saying. And until I joined the army, that's when my grandfather slowly started to kind of open up and talk about it. And it usually was over a few drinks, as was the fashion at the time, about some of his experiences. And, you know, I don't get me wrong, there's a lot of experiences that we all have, and I'll let the boys jump in here.
Yeah.
We don't talk about, we typically generalize. And I think we do that in the interests of, you know, that people understand what we're doing over there right now, like what's happening when, you know, or over wherever we are, so that your typical Canadian, like people watching this that are exposed to it, and also understand, sorry to fucking just go left. Back then, you didn't have the media exposure, be it social media, the internet reach that you do now. So now it's harder to hide or ignore or push to the side. Right? It was like that. Okay, you're over here living your life as a normal citizen back in the country, and the soldiers, sailors, and airmen are over there doing whatever they're doing. And the next morning's newspaper reports the following. And fucking that's it. It's very much different now, where things happen in real time. So it's harder to duck it, and it's easier to expose it. And I'm not sure if that answers the question, so I'm going to hand this over.
Hey, let me take this one there, Chris. I think we're dealing with a different mindset. I mean, a lot of these, like, now we have people like myself and like yourself, Chris, and Bryce. Well, like, we were career soldiers. That's what we did. These guys in the First World War, Second World War, in Korea, they were career soldiers. They were iron workers. They were steel workers. They were farmers. And next thing, they woke up one morning and they realized, my country's, like, the world is at war. You know, we're trying, you know, to fight back like a Nazi jackboot, or, you know, or a communist invasion into South Korea. And they're like, so it was their duty to essentially put on that uniform and represent their country and stand for freedom. So, I mean, I'll use Tommy Prince. We've talked about him on previous podcasts as a perfect example. This guy joined the army during World War II. After World War II, he's like, well, war's over. My job here is done. Then what happens? Next, you know, 1950, 1951, another war sparks up. Well, correction, police action, if we want to be correct, in Korea. And what does he do? He's like, oh shit, my country needs me again. So he's like off to, you know, he quits his job, joins the army, because he's like, this is my duty as a Canadian, you know, as a citizen of a democracy, to go and, you know, and fight for freedom. Whereas somebody like me, I didn't join for the same reasons that Tommy Prince joined for. I mean, I joined, you know, for one, you know, I'm from Newfoundland. I'm from Eastern Canada. I joined for a job. I joined for a pension. But moreover, me personally, I joined for an adventure. Like, especially, like, I joined when Bosnia was winding down, and then Afghanistan happened out of nowhere. And I am super pumped that I got to go to Afghanistan, and I got to do my job as an infantryman, as a sniper. Like, you know, we always hear the comparison of, like, imagine if you're, like, you know, you're a hockey player, but you never get to play in the big show. Like, as a soldier, I got to play in a big show, and that's all I ever wanted to do. Like, I to some degree, I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah, but the question is, why are you willing to talk about it versus why your grandfather wasn't?
I think it goes back to my original point, though. Like, we joined for completely different reasons, and like you said, with social media and everything like that, like, they joined, They went over and they probably did some awful shit, and then they came back and they don't want to talk about it because once again, back then you didn't talk about this shit, right? Now we encourage each other.
Back then, you went to the Legion, which is why it was created. For those of you
Yeah.
that fucking think it was created for another reason, you're wrong. You poured whiskey over it with your buddies. You went home and fucking raised your family and did what was defined as what men do back then.
Yep.
In the 50s.
Exactly.
So the paradigm has shifted.
Yeah.
Jim, come on in.
No, let Bryce respond because he hasn't responded.
Oh,
to
Bryce,
this
do you want to weigh in on this? Because James has a follow-on question. Maybe you can catapult onto that.
My follow-up question, kind of dealing with that, would it have anything to do with the change of the warfare between then, like, you know, with like the trench, like a World War I, World War II, the trench warfare,
going from heavy metal to three-block war counterinsurgency?
Yeah, would that have something to do with it too?
The modernization of war. Absolutely. I think
the evolution of war. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question.
I don't think there's a lot of people nowadays that would actually be able to go trench warfare. I know I've had the distinct honor of talking to some elderly World War II men in their later years, as well as some Vietnam guys. And to think that to have to engage on that kind of level, I'm thinking from a different trade level, just being a truck driver. But even anywhere else, you're engaging with the enemy on a daily basis. And I don't think there's a lot of people that are around right now that would have the fortitude, the guts. There's a lot of us. That modern warfare, they're going to be inside of your head before you even get to that country. Look at the way the media is going right now, right?
Cal's got a question, but this transitions into, since we're on the topic, I'm going to go back to one of Paniel's questions.
Yeah.
Hey, Glassy. Paniel.
And Paniel's third question, she had three, was, did you struggle with reintegration upon your return, and what helped or hindered that experience? So she's talking about what Paniel is asking. Yes, I can't fucking say that seriously. What Paniel is asking is, how was reintegration coming back from deployment? And, you know, how did you handle it? Was it good, bad, ugly? How did it help?
Deployment wise, when I got back from a couple of my tours, there was always a little bit of fanfare right from the airport. But I found the more integration wise was wrapping my head around becoming a civilian after my military service was done. I don't think so much getting back into, there was enough of a decompression on my last tour out of Afghanistan that I honestly don't think that there was, I think maybe more talk therapy if implemented. I don't know.
Hey, Bryce, I'm gonna springboard off of what you said, and so I agree with you 100% exactly what you said. I think one of the things that actually helped me integrate back was that actually going to work every day back on base. I'm back. I'm with my brothers in arms. I'm with these guys that I fought with, you know, that we died with, all these guys. One of the things that I was fortunate enough to do in the military, I was involved in a road to mental readiness program where they had a clinician paired up with an operator. And one thing that I actually noticed quite a bit, guys who had a difficult integration back were actually reservists, because when we would come back from overseas, like me and the boys, all the Patricias, guess what? I'd go back to, you know, Combat Support Company, 3P CLI, and, you know, every single day it was, you know, we go for a 10-mile run, high fives and bum slaps, and it was awesome. And we could talk about what we did over the last year or the last deployment. But a lot of these reservists that came from all over the country, and these were outstanding soldiers and great men, they went back to their individual units, and essentially they were like strangers. Like they had nobody to connect with. And then they went back to their job as, you know, whatever their jobs were. I mean, everything from like the McDonald's fry guy to like, you know, Calgary Police Service or wherever. And they didn't have anybody to connect with.
I never even thought about that. Literally
those
right now.
those guys, some of those reservists were the guys that had the worst times I've ever seen. Like, and I feel for those guys because I feel like they were left out in the cold. And like, and Chris, like, you know how it is. Like, the boys, like the me's and the you's of the world, we try everything we can to reach out to these guys and make sure that they're doing okay. But they weren't.
Yeah,
with
they
us
got
on a day-to-day.
yeah. Fuck, man. I never even.
Yeah.
Wow. My headspace is all fucked up now because I never even thought about that. Because
Yeah, man. Those reservists, like, you know, we love to shit on them, but you know, man, a lot of those guys, you know, they left a lot behind and they stepped up, right?
yeah. So
And
to kind of
and then when they came back, they to some degree they didn't have the support networks that we had.
where the fuck did he go?
Don't worry about it. We can keep talking.
Man
We
down.
can go, what was it?
Yeah,
What was
so
it?
actually, I want to catapult off of you now.
Yeah.
So understand, for those of you watching, and I'll jump back into the questions here. He'll get back in. When you're gone for, it's usually about 7 months, depending on your job and everything. So typical rotation used to be 6, but it stretches to 7 with the RIP, which is relief in place to get everything going. So like all my last 3 deployments were at least 7 months long. And you need to understand, when you come back, everything's evolved 7 months since you've been back.
Yeah, especially if you
Right?
got kids.
There's a new mall over here. If you got kids, and I don't, they've grown up by 7 months.
Yeah.
Like everybody around you's life has changed by that amount of time. And you come back with an expectation of like the day you fucking left. So that's one thing that gets in your head. The second thing is it takes a bit of time, and to echo Morgan's comments, to get your head out of where you were. Because if you're in high intensity, environments like we've been in, your brain stays there a long fucking time. Sometimes longer than it probably should.
Yeah.
So, reintegration is a hard thing. And the Canadian Armed Forces, the system has been trying to make it better. So I don't shit on them about it. We had this decompression thing where we go to Cyprus for 4 days, which is just a shit show, piss up, fucking failed effort. I don't fault them for it though. I don't blame them because they were trying to do something positive. So
there's no right answer because everybody's different.
No, man. There's no right answer, and every individual is different. So it's very challenging to reintegrate back into society. You need to ease into it, and I think it's easier as you do more and more deployments. But any given deployment, depending on your role, can really influence how you are when you come back as a person. I'm not going to turn this into a conversation about PTSD and all that fucking bullshit. It doesn't even matter if you never saw combat or never left the wire. The point is your life was completely different during the time you were deployed. And now you're coming back to a family or a group of people or your job, like Morgan alluded to, guys that are reservists who just go back and automatically jump into a civilian world and don't have that bond of brotherhood within the unit that they would normally have. So reintegration, to shorten out the version, to shorten the answer that Peniel asked, is that reintegration's challenging. They're trying to make it better, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. And that's it. I don't know what else to really say. So I think Cal had
she had a good question about like families or people that like in
so
Afghanistan that we think about.
I gotta fucking find it here.
I most definitely do.
Do you?
So
Good.
like
here's the question. There he is. He's back.
Is there a local person / family from Afghanistan that you met that stays in your mind? Is it for good or bad reasons? I'll take this one because I got 2 examples from 2008 and 2012.
Good,
so
good. I have no examples, so good.
2008, and I remember this guy because we'd have an Afghan platoon attached to us, right? These guys, they weren't trained the best, but they were trained. They were good soldiers. They were there for the right reasons. And I remember this guy. I can't remember his last name to save my life, but his first name was Raj. And I remember, because Afghans, they're different than we are. This guy spoke perfect English. And I pulled him aside one day and I was like, Raj, I was like, well, like, what's the deal? Like, you're an intelligent man. Like, what are you doing here? Like, you're not like everybody else. And he told me a story, like, you know, back in like 1999 or like late 90s when the Taliban kind of took over. His father, who was an engineer, took his whole family. They escaped to India. He was educated in India. He went to college. He was I believe he was also an engineer. His brother was a doctor in France. Like, and I was like, why are you here? And he's like, because this is my country. He's like, you shouldn't be here. He's like trying to sort out my country. He's like, I should be here. And our, you know, some of the interpreters, some of them were good, some of them were a little bit crooked. We had one that was a little bit crooked, and we fired him but we had Raj there, and he really helped us
I
out.
put one in fucking jail.
Yeah, and he was a great guy, very genuine. And I always think about that guy all the time. I'm like, well, like whatever happened to him? And then next was 2012. My interpreter, what we were doing, it was it was much more laid back. It was I was in the like the infantry school for the Afghan National Army in Mazar-e Sharif, in like northern Afghanistan, in Mazar-e Sharif. It was like 1,000 or about 100 miles south of the Uzbek border.
Yeah,
and
been there a lot.
yeah, and anyway, this guy Zabibullah Atta, and he was just a genuinely good person. I remember one day he showed up like maybe like 20 minutes late. I was like, "Hey, Zabi, how are you doing, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for being late." He's like, I guess the temperature dropped, like all the pipes in his house burst, his house flooded. Like, he's telling me the story as an absolute shit show, and I'm looking at him like, "Oh my god, like why are you even here?" Like, just kind of you've got my, like, he had my phone number for my Afghan cell phone. I was like, just dude, like, I don't, like, just go sort your life out. And he's like, "Oh no, 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 things are good." And like when I left, like him and some of the staff from the school, from the Afghan infantry school, like they gave me gifts for my wife and for my children, and like I really got to know these guys, and they were like genuinely
Yeah.
good people. Like,
You know
I
what?
have
I-
I have a lot of respect for the Afghans. I know some people would shit on them, but whatever. But I have a lot of good memories
shouldn't.
of
You
the
shouldn't.
Afghans.
They're hard people, and I remember like all the guys. So my last tour, we got obviously a lot closer to them because we were doing small unit stuff, and I needed to. There's different levels of interpreters, and that's who I'm talking about in this context. But there's also local employees. So I was based out of Kandahar City at Camp Nathan Smith, and there's a lot of local employees, and we also had our interpreter group. And I remember working with the first Afghan or Kandahar City Police EOD team, and we were training them in EOD, and just solid people. Lost contact with that guy, but to answer the question, I never got in contact with the guy, but I got a heartbreaker 2 years after. This would have been 2012. There was this old dude. His nickname was Popeye. I couldn't tell you what his name was, but if you served at Camp Nathan Smith, this fucking dude, he was probably 30 and he looked like he was 90, but he was fucking jacked. And he had the forearms, and he was basically like the senior laborer, if you will, on camp. And a lot of those guys had to live inside. So we had two perimeters on that camp, an outer and then the inner one. And the outer one, a lot of the LECs, local employed civilians, as we call them, were allowed to live in that space. And the Taliban were threatening these guys all the fucking time. They knew who they were, threatening their families. And 2 years after I left, that guy was actually executed by the Taliban and his family. And it broke my heart. I just wanted to get over there and just get it on and just, fucking kill fucking bad guys. But I never kept in contact with one of them after that. Anyway, yeah. So let's lighten up. Wade's been waiting to ask the question of all time. So here it comes. I'm going to let you guys weigh in. So Wade's question is, when in the battlefield, when it comes to change your underwear, do you pass it to the left or to the right? And what if you're switched with what the fuck, Wade? You gotta speak English, man. It's like talking to Jimmy. You guys read it and tell me how to answer that. Well, I don't shit myself, but anyway, fucking.
Yeah, I don't know. Never happened to me. Never been an issue. And like, with regards to like changing your underwear, you're not changing your underwear in the middle of a fucking gunfight. Like,
No.
we weren't like bullets. Like bullets were. It wasn't like bullets were flying and people were dying for like 6 straight months and we were under contact. Like you just sort yourself out when you had time.
Yeah, no, but to be fair, yeah, I know guys who admit I fucking shit myself in a gunfight.
Yeah,
And,
but you dealt with your shitty pants after the gunfight, though.
you dealt with your shitty pants after the gunfight. It's not like, hey,
No,
because you normally have a fire team partner, no matter what trade
Yeah.
you are. When you're getting it on, you got buddies fucking shooting at slightly different rates. So you change mags at a different time, blah, 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 blah. But he's not going to go down to fucking slow rate so you can pull your pants down and change your shitty ass underwear.
no.
Right? Fucking, he's
No.
going normal or fucking rapid at best, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
just it's yeah. In your list of priorities, it's not a big. I mean, I know guys that like literally have gotten shot, and they had a hole in them, and they're like, "I'll deal with this like after the gunfight," and they did. Just you're running on adrenaline. So
And
like the
for
shit in
any
your
man,
pants.
and for any
Yeah.
man that's ever been blown up, the first question is, are my balls still there? It's all you
Yeah.
give a fuck about. Is like, you can blow my left arm off. If my dick and my balls are there, we're good. I'm having a
You're
good
like
day.
ah.
I'm having a good day.
What if you shit your pants?
If you shit your pants, fuck whatever. But to be fair, to answer Wade's question, if I shit myself in a firefight and found a lull in the action to change my underwear, and it's not like I got a spare fucking pair of underwears in a mag pouch.
I had him in my butt pack, Chris. You're a terrible soldier.
I'll tell you what, because I'm right-handed and I'm finger on the trigger, it's going to the left.
Wouldn't it go
To the left, to the left.
Wouldn't it go at the enemy?
To the left, to the left. No, the fucking enemy's 200 meters downrange, man. You're gonna throw your shitty ass underwear. If you go to advance the contact, you want to walk over your shitty underwear? Fuck no.
Not a chance.
Yeah,
It's just like if I was to shit my pants as a truck driver, I'd say it's gonna get if it has to get changed and I'm being shot at, underwear is going out the door.
Absolutely. Listen, if you throw your shitty underwear in front of you, you're a fucking coward because it means you're not afraid to advance on the enemy. You throw your shitty underwear at the rear, so all the rear echelon fucking guys, they're going to resupply. You have to deal with it. So that's a great question. I got to scroll down because I missed all the fucking text. Say some whimsical shit so I can read. You missed a joke. Oh, Wade had a joke and I missed it. Todd, how many of my brothers and sisters against him? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're up.
Here
we go.
Todd, that is I actually
one fucking
100%,
question
man.
on every pod. Todd's gonna bring it up.
Yep. I actually in my travels, I still find even in my interactions with veterans that are brand new to getting housed. They've got most of their benefits sorted out. They've got food and all that kind of stuff sorted out. But a lot of guys are either going off of what they've been told for the last 100 years, like everybody else, where cannabis is going to ruin your career and it'll end everything, or it'll lead them right back onto the crack pipe.
Yeah,
that's the other big one. They're afraid of it because they've been told it's the gateway drug, or when they were on the streets, cannabis was a gateway drug to lead to something else.
It's the devil's
It's the misuse. It's the misuse of it. Absolutely. If you're using it as a medication, you will be inspired to use it as a medication with proper dosages. And if that means not smoking it, and that means eating an edible, or now there's everything from coffee pods, teas, oils,
everything.
Chocolates, you name it, man. Absolutely. There's so many, many options now. Transdermal patches. You don't even have to put it in your mouth. You can now put a patch on your arm and it's a CBD or a THC, like a nicotine patch. There is so many different options out there. RCMP are the same thing. And there's a lot of guys that used to be their job is to go out and hunt cannabis. And now they're very reluctant to be able to access it as a medicine. But they, just like D&D, they have coverage as well. And that's something that Todd had explicitly said earlier.
I have not
Hey,
been pulled over by a
can
cop who's high on weed yet.
I'll give you like the non-hippie answer, because like I don't partake in, I don't use cannabis. I've got nothing against it, obviously.
Feels like you should, but anyway, go on.
Exactly. But look, I mean, hey, look at the shirt I'm wearing, right? I mean, you'd probably think that I'm a cannabis user and shit like that. However, I agree with Bryce 100%, because my last 4 years in New Brunswick, I've seen guys transition out of the military, and guys that had like some pretty gnarly injuries, like back injuries from getting blown up and shit like that. And these guys, like you said, we believe what we've been told. And I've seen some of these guys like hooked on opiates, and it's absolutely destroyed their bodies, their minds, and their lives. And I've seen, people use cannabis, essentially to get themselves off of these much more harmful pharmaceuticals, and they've kind of gone on to be like successful and sort themselves out. So although I don't use cannabis personally, I'm a firm believer that it works, and it's definitely something like veterans and anybody should really look into. It's I mean, it's not a miracle drug or anything like that, and anything can be abused, but me personally, like I don't even like taking fucking Advil or Tylenol, because it frightens the shit out of me. Let alone
I really want to see you.
But
I
there
really
is
want to
that,
see you high on weed just one fucking time, man. I really do.
There is that 10% of people that are going to get addicted to it and are going to misuse it.
There's 10% of people are going to get addicted to everything. I guess all I'm saying is from I've never smoked a joint in my life, but if I had to deal with chronic pain and crazy mental issues and shit like that, I would be personally much more comfortable with cannabis than I would be with opiates. Just saying.
So just so we're clear,
this is from the non-pothead.
Chronic pain and mental issues, that you don't think that's you now? Are you fucking kidding me? That's exactly what you need to be doing.
Give him some time. He'll find his bored ass.
Okay.
Yeah. Give him 6 months.
We're moving on.
Okay, moving on.
Somehow I've been doing this shit since November with you guys, and weed enters the conversation every time. Paniel's last question.
Okay.
This is a good one. Paniel, which is a pseudonym. What was the first thing you looked forward to when you came home from tour? Was it food, family? What was it? That's a great question.
Absolutely. Great question.
Although Paniel, if you're watching, this could go in a weird fucking direction. So I'll let Bryce, because he's got the red hair. He's the weirdest motherfucker on the show. He can go first.
Well, each one of my tours, I missed my kids and my wife at the time. Of course, I came back and wanted to see them instantly. I know, and there was enough time in decompression to have a couple of drinks when I was back, that I was able to go back and reintegrate and definitely hug my kids every chance that I got.
Yeah.
There you go, Morgan.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. Yeah, I agree with that. My answer is the same as Bryce's. It is what it is.
Okay, well, I'll try to amp it up a little bit for you fuckers. Yeah, I mean, one, it should be getting laid.
Well, obviously.
Two, beer's a no-brainer. Obviously, we always want to have a beer or whatever the fuck we want. But to seriously answer the question, do you know what I really look forward to? You would think, a nice, beautiful steak, and that's also on the list. But the number one thing outside of getting laid, beer, and a good steak was fucking real milk.
Hey, Chris, you want to hear something?
Right? Okay, hang on. Yeah. Because we were drinking this shit called milch. I fucking shit you not. And it's
you could leave it on the counter.
Yeah, you could leave it on the counter open for weeks.
It didn't need to be refrigerated. It could sit on the counter for it had a half life of fucking 500 years. Jimmy could put it in his backpack for months. I'll hook you up.
Yeah.
And it tasted like not milk. And anybody that was been in the military has been deployed. Fucking Todd, if you've been in Bosnia or any other shithole, at some point you had a version thereof of milch. So the only time I got to have real milk was, I think, maybe Calf had some, but I know Mirage had some. But to come home and have, because I like fucking milk, I'm not gonna lie to you, was to drink real milk was like the fucking, the shit. So
Yeah, I'm a cereal guy myself too, man. I absolutely enjoy milk when it's around. I find myself to be lactose intolerant now, unfortunately, so I don't enjoy it as much. But I will put my guts into battle for some from Deadly ice cream when it's around.
Yeah.
I know that's for sure.
When I was in New Brunswick for
okay, hang on a second. I'm fucking, if I hear the word lactose intolerant, I'm gonna start hitting people. It's like the back pain of the 80s. Suddenly everyone and their fucking dog is lactose intolerant.
My story is the opposite of lactose intolerant right now. Chris, you'll like it. So here I am. I'm in Gagetown, New Brunswick for 4 years, and I was the only Anglo in my office. It was all French guys, all Vendus, and I'm not shit talking my Vendus. Hey, moi j'adore les soldats Vendusien. They're excellent. I love these guys. And it's like you're a couple of weeks from getting home, and guys, you start talking about your first meal, and these Vendus were telling me, they're like, when they were there, like 3 weeks out, they were talking about poutine, and like not just like, oh, I'm going to get home, I'm going to have poutine, but like where they're going to get their poutine from, because like, yeah, man, they're super tribal. Like I actually got to go to Valcartier, and like these Vendus, each one of them, they took me to a different poutine. It was like, it was next level. But anyway, that's what they talked about was poutine, and I was like,
do you know what?
Of course.
I'm with those guys. I'll add that to the list. The shit that, yeah, it's stuff like that. So, we've been fucking around being funny about it all, but it's the little things you take for granted every day. You adapt so much if you're a quality soldier and you're used to this stuff, or sailor or whatever. Sorry for you air people and Navy fucks listening. Not you, Mike. I love you, bro. Actually, my bro Mike is on here. I don't know if he's still on, but he's a submariner. So if you think we have it rough, start living underwater in a used fucking shitty ass sub where they kick the tires around the bottom off the UK. So that guy's experienced some fucking hardships. I can promise you that. It's just the little things that you take for granted the day to day. When you don't have that, when you're gone, you miss it. So for the civvies out there watching this, and this is kind of a shitty analogy, but it's the closest one I can think of. Go on when you're on vacation, you're having a great time and you're eating different food. Think about the little things that you miss from back home, and like amplify that by 100 with the stresses that service persons feel while deployed, and you got a bit of an idea of what that is. That's kind of my best fucking answer. I don't know. Long pause. We got any more questions? Got to wrap this bitch up soon. There's Mike. Yeah, try being a fucking submariner. Actually, Mike, I want to put you on the show. We're talking too much Army shit. I want to get a fucking Navy guy, especially a guy who's lived underwater. So we'll have that conversation with my brother.
I've got so many questions for submariners.
Fuck yeah, man.
I'll tell you right now. If I was in the Navy, people like shit on submariners. If I was in the Navy, 100% I'd be a submariner. People
they would throw you the fuck. They would find a way to throw you off. You're
an idiot. Why would you want to do that?
I've had the pleasure.
I'd want to do it like I want to do it just because people are like, you're stupid. Same reason. I want to Chopper.
Okay. Mike's in. If anybody wants to hear what it's like to be a submariner,
man, I got questions.
I'm going to get Mike on the show in the next couple of weeks.
I hear there's a lot of diesel everywhere.
There's a lot of diesel. He's a brother of mine. I've known him for a long time, and
get him on, man. I'm pumped.
Mike's been running subs for fucking years. He's I call him chief of the boat every time I see him, and he's correct me if I'm wrong. Mike's currently running what I would equate to the Top Gun of the submarine world in Canada. He's got the red hat, he's got the cigar, and he sorts fucking future submariners out. So yeah, fucking, I'm glad he's watching.
Yeah.
We're gonna get Mike on because I have no clue. I'm scared shitless of even put my head underwater in my hot tub, let alone doing what he does.
Man, it's the only reason I would ever join a Navy, just to be a submariner.
Fuck
I
that.
Think I think it's cool as shit, man. I'm a fucking sniper, and I think being a submariner is pretty fucking cool.
I can't believe you'd even say that.
I think it's cool.
I can't do deep water. I couldn't imagine holding my
No.
breath underwater. Not a chance. Oof.
Yeah. Wow. What time we got? Fuck, I got to wrap this up. I'm sorry. Listen, if you guys enjoyed this this venue, the way we're doing this, it was by accident. I always wanted to do like a mailbag Q&A thing with the viewership, and this happened by accident because I fucked the dog and was unprepared for today. That being said, I think it was successful and I enjoyed. I apologize if we didn't get to all your questions. I'd like to go into OT, but we got to jump on with Bonzi. So when we leave here, for those of you that are not, it's not like 2 a.m. in Ontario, wherever the fuck you're from, please jump on with my man Bonzi Live, Tripping with Bonzi. Myself and Jimmy are gonna go have a administrative pause, if you will, and then we're gonna jump back on. Once again, I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. We are gonna do this again. I'm gonna probably do this once every 2 months, where it's just open Q&A, where everybody can just bomb us with questions.
Yeah.
And
Make it a little bit longer next time, though, because this is pretty.
No, I will, because there's a lot of questions. And I'll set it up more in advance so you guys can DM me, because I'm not giving any of you fuckers my email.
Some of these comments are fucking amazing.
You can DM any of the three of us, whatever, on text. We'll compile a list of questions like a week in advance and then hand pick them. And it can be hate mail too. You guys are fucking losers and fuck you. I'm good with that. We'll answer whatever. We'll do a mailbag Q&A thing. I really want to do it again. So yeah, right on. Good times. Thank you very much. We'll do this again. I apologize for cutting short. Thank you, Mr. Morgan Warren. Thank you, Mr. Bryce Hooper. Thank you for all you lovely people out there that tuned in tonight. Got to give some shout outs and we're fucking out of here. This episode of Fire for Effect Live has been brought to you by, there's my radio voice, DeanBlundell.com. Check out DeanBlundell.com for all your podcast cool needs from Canada. Canada's largest digital source of sports news and very fucking entertaining and controversial shit right now. Positive Mike's Brewing Company, Wicked Beer. Mr. Hooper Inc. You want to learn about weed, medical marijuana, and how it can improve your life? Check it out. You want good Wagyu beef locally in the Edmonton area in Alberta and good dairy products? Check out Jeff Noney's Farmstead. We will do this again in 7 days from tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And jump on with Bonzi Live right after this. And we are fucking out of here.